You'd be surprised at like when you just put that little like the alphabet people hashtag in your shit, how many people will show up and watch your stuff.
Oh, trust me. I know. I know all about that.
And we're live?
We're live.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Weekly Narrative Live. Friday night coming to you from Sacramento, California.
Sacktown on the map.
Hanging out. We're going to talk to you about some current events and whatever else comes to mind. Just standard free-for-all.
Yeah, and if you want to contribute to the conversation in the chat, we have it up on the screen so we can both read it pretty clearly. So let's chat away.
Multi-million-dollar setup.
Yeah, multi-million
the
dollars.
Floodgates are open. The arena's
millions upon
up.
Millions of people watching.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, our internet connection isn't even good enough to handle all these people that are watching.
How do they handle it? Oh my goodness. I mean, we have to go through the YouTube overlords, but it's cool.
Pay so much money for this internet connection. Massive bit rate. We are experimenting with a new bit rate, so we want to test that out to make sure the quality is good.
Yeah, so let us know in the chat how we're looking, how we're sounding, because we're still getting the final tweaks in. And so just let us know how we're doing, so that way we can do better.
480p, I think we'll get up there, get that bit rate up.
Yeah, we want to do as best as we possibly can do, right? Try our hardest. So
what else can you do?
What else can you do but try? So
you can get corona, just like Donald Trump.
Yeah, I heard about that. Poor thing.
Well, it was bound to happen eventually.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've known a few people in my life that have gotten the Rona, but
You have?
A couple.
I have not even one.
Well, I mean, I probably get out a little bit more than you, but I mean, I'm just saying.
You don't even know me.
I don't really know you, but it's just a guess.
No, well, here's the thing that I think is funny about it, and what everyone else is going to be talking about is the left's reaction to it. Okay, everyone else is going to be talking about, oh, look at how uncivil the lefties are. They're saying that they're happy he's just gonna get corona and die and all this, and they're celebrating. And dude, was anybody else not already on that page? Did everybody else already not know that that's how they were gonna react? Like, these are just
it's
how many other signs did you need that these are emotionally immature people? What was you missed all the other clues?
Yeah, I mean, we all know that they're a little unhinged, but, it's not surprising to me. But at the same time, it's just a little disappointing because, we take the opportunity to, when something bad happens, just, hope for the best. Be give positive, even if it's not necessarily, somebody that you agree with. Mm-hmm. But here they are showing the true colors, and it's yeah, we really do hate him. It's yeah, we know, and good job, just doing what we expect you to do, because it's pretty lame. Not gonna lie.
You can tell that they don't have jobs and they don't live in the professional world.
Yeah.
Because if you lived in the professional world, you understand that you have to maintain a certain level of professionality to be in a position of significance.
Yeah.
Okay, this just shows that none of these people have ever really, truly been in positions of significance in their lives, because they don't have the ability to just hold back, then tell themselves, well, you know what I really want to do right now is say that I'm glad he's dying. And you can see that on Twitter, a lot of people who were like, I've held this back for so long, but I can finally feel the confidence to say this. Mm-hmm. I hope he dies.
Yeah, I hope that he gets the Rona and dies, and or doesn't recover from this. Mm-hmm. And it's those are the same people that screamed and shouted and cried when RBG passed away. Not because they're mad that their heroine is dead, but because why didn't you wait to die till after the election?
Right. It was just a political tool.
How messed up is that? You could this is your hero, and you are just mad that she waited till before the election to pass away, and you're choosing to be why, instead of oh my God, such a heroine loss,
Right.
They
didn't even mourn her death.
They didn't even really. There were people that mourned. I'm not gonna
skipped mourning, and they went straight into why did you have to die so that my political views are gonna suffer? Why?
Right, exactly. It's that's
Jesus.
How self-righteous are you? Come on now. it's like I don't like I follow a bunch of different conservative voices, and every single one of them, even though they didn't agree with her, they were still sad that she died.
I thought the left was supposed to be the party of humanists and like humanity and
Right?
empathy and feelings
And
and
just
stuff
like
that.
being like feeling in that moment, whatever you feel. But
Or-
instead, we get like just nothing but hate.
Or could it be all just a facade?
It's a facade.
lie?
It's a political. It's a like you
Are
said.
they projecting?
It's a political tool. Like this Rona, like Trump getting it. It's a political tool. Like now, like they're probably just like, yeah. Now he can't confirm the Supreme Court justice because he has the Rona, so he can't like do. We
Right.
can't do anything. It's like, oh,
Like any situation is on the table as long as it serves their political views. Like
Yeah.
there's even Joe Biden, what did he do? He paused all negative campaign ads against Trump. Did you know that?
oh yeah.
That was a baller move. That was cool. That was good. While
Letting-
everyone else on Twitter is crying about or cheering about him getting it, he actually, as far as I know, I don't know if that's 100% true or not, but he paused all the negative campaign ads against Trump.
I mean, that's
while it's going through.
pretty honorable
That's
of him,
the
I
level of
guess.
civility that you need.
I mean, I will give. Okay, that's like a win category in Biden's train.
I got to acknowledge it.
Yeah,
I'm not a Biden
acknowledge.
fan, but I'm gonna acknowledge
We
it.
got to acknowledge the plus. Every plus in whatever people are plus.
I'm not gonna pretend to be unbiased, but
Yeah,
we
like
can at least try to be objective about stuff like that.
I get it, but at the same time, like, I mean, I saw an ad for him where it's like, he like shows his dog in the ad, so people are like, yeah, Trump doesn't have a dog, so that's how you know he's a terrible person. And I'm just like, he doesn't have time to take care of a dog.
That's true. He doesn't have a dog.
He doesn't have a dog, but
didn't
like there
realize
were
that.
other presidents that never had dogs.
He
But
doesn't seem like a dog kind of guy.
he doesn't seem like a dog
He
kind of
probably
guy
gets pissed
either.
about like hair being around his.
Well, and also too, he doesn't have time to take care of a
Suit.
dog.
Well, none of the presidents have one, but it's
Exactly.
like
So that's why like the
he's got
having-
kids to play with it.
Exactly. He
Let
has
Barron
kids.
play with
He has
it?
kids, and he has grandkids and kids. But how often are they going to be at the White House? It's like, are you really going to take a dog everywhere with you as the president? Like seriously, that's not a life to live as a freaking dog. Most of the time, the past presidents have probably had somebody take care of the dog. So technically, it's not even your dog.
So, coronavirus has a 95% survivability rate at 70 plus. And he's got the best care on planet Earth, right? Because he's in the White House and he's going to.
Well, and he just got moved to like one of the best hospitals in the country.
Exactly.
And he's been like praising all of the like these medications, and like he's probably been taking like all kinds of stuff to like boost his immune system even before.
His doctor released a statement today saying that what he was on, and it was zinc and like a stomach acid medication, aspirin, melatonin, vitamin D, and so yeah, that's pretty. That's what everyone on the non-mainstream media has been telling you to take the whole time, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Vitamin D and zinc and whatnot.
but they want to like certain
transfusions.
certain medications. I'm not going to name which ones because I've heard. I don't know if this is true, but for some channels they'll like mention the name of these some certain like not even
yes, yeah.
drugs, and their stuff will get taken down or like.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
So we're not even going to mention it.
Those YouTube overlords.
Those
They're
YouTube
just waiting.
overlords. I mean, they do. They freaking watch and they wait until you say something wrong or say something that might make sense, and then they ban it. I wonder like what's going on there.
Well.
Or
yeah.
they like censor it, or they take it down for a little bit until you say like you step up and say like I'm not going to let you take my crap down.
It's almost like they just poke you until you fight back a little bit and you
Yeah.
get aggressive, and then that triggers you into doing something
It's
to
just
get
like
your channel
it's just
nuked.
like when you're dealing with like insurance or like calling into like Comcast to like get your crap taken care of, and they just are totally lame about it until you just make a big stink. It's kind of the same thing. Like I've seen my mom,
way to
and
put
like I've had to do it a few times where it's like you have to call and call and call, and like they just don't freaking do what you want them to.
You can swear, it doesn't matter.
I can swear. Okay, I don't know. Like I don't know if they'll censor us because of that.
There's been worse in my videos, and
Okay.
they still get monetized. My monetization has actually been pretty good on my videos.
Well, that's good. That's good.
But by default they label it as not monetized,
Yeah, I mean, of
and
course.
then I have to go in and be like, hey, this is monetizable. I meet all the
I guarantee to you,
requirements.
somebody will like run an ad.
And then when they look at it or manually review it, then it always comes back as green.
Yeah, it's always like I think it's what it is. It's like they have like a computer go through and like listen and like hear for keywords, and then it'll flag it for those.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, of course, if you tell a computer like flag anything and take down anything that references this,
They transcribe all the audio into text,
and
then
then it's like
analyze the
until you
text
have
and look
like
for
a
keywords.
actual person that is like can use judgment, then they're like, oh,
The person with
we're
the nose ring and the purple hair.
yeah, the
I
person.
can't wait to have their judgment on my channel. It's
Or
gonna
the
be
person
great.
that doesn't really speak that great of English, but you know they're a minority, so they can hire them instead.
I don't know if they're at that point yet, but
I mean, they have done that. I mean, we're seeing that on one of the things that we want to talk about here in California that they're trying to implement. It's like,
what about, so what's going to happen? Have you thought about what's going to happen after Trump recovers from the coronavirus? And how he's going to use that?
I mean, he's going to try to spin it as positively as possible, because really, like,
Because some people are out there saying that he's just lying about it, and he's gonna lie about it to prove that it's nothing, and he's just gonna get right over it.
I don't think that's it. I think that he's going to just use this to be like, yeah, it was serious, but because I took these preventative measures and I got on the right and appropriate things, like, that's why I was able to recover from this. And of course, like, all of the deaths that have happened are very unfortunate, but like, we need, like, as he's probably been saying for a while, it's like we need to question the statistics, and we need to question, all of the deaths, because that's what I've been saying from the beginning. It's like, are these deaths that like the left wants to tout, like the 200,000 deaths?
Oh, they don't even know what that number is.
It's like,
they
is
don't
it
know how
really
that
like
number is
200?
gathered.
Is it really 200,000 from like dying from corona, or is it like 200,000 people that were probably not very good health already, probably had like a blood clot somewhere and died from obese,
super
or like
old.
they died. Like, I've heard of like one of my friends, like she told me that like one of her friends' mother passed away in the hospital, and they tested her and she tested negative for corona, but they counted it as a corona death, and then she wasn't allowed to like bury her own mother.
Oh yeah.
Like, and those kinds of stories are happening all too often. For like the survival rate for like most people is like damn near like 100%. So it's like like, what are we doing? Like, why are we shutting, like, especially here in California, like, there's
that's
stuff is still shut down here.
That's what they're, see, this is the problem with how the left reacted to the whole corona thing. This is what happens when you have the inability to control your emotions, because they felt a strong emotional reaction, him getting it, they were happy. They wanted to celebrate, but when they celebrated, it was an acknowledgement that somebody important has coronavirus. And the reason why that's significant is because up until now, nobody's even known what that 200,000 number is, right? We don't know. They don't know what goes into that, what the criteria is, how it's measured. They know nothing.
Yeah.
They just know it's a big number and they want to use it. But now that they've seen somebody get it, and they're going to be forced to acknowledge when he recovers that it wasn't that big of a deal, and they're also throwing in their hand by talking about how Trump is obese and he's at risk factors, and we're catastrophizing
he's
of
so
possible
fat
worse
and
things to happen.
He doesn't take care of himself.
So they're building the situation to be up as bad as possible as it could possibly be in their head, and then when he recovers, they have no choice but to acknowledge that he got through it, and the coronavirus isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
That was their mistake.
As I said in the beginning,
that's why you don't ever
sort of the beginning of the stream, I was like, I had known a couple people that got the Rona, and they recovered just fine, and I haven't got them, and I haven't got the Rona. I've been around them, it's not that transmissible. Like,
it just shows how weak the left are. They don't have the ability to play the game. They don't have the ability to play the game as well as it should be played. I mean, strategically speaking, come on. If any of these guys were dead serious, they would have held back, because then when he recovers, see, they didn't think out 5 steps. They just saw what was right in front of their face.
Yeah,
they saw Trump
like,
has coronavirus, and
they saw an opportunity to just be like cool or like
extreme. They didn't think about, what does this mean long term? What is this going to turn? How is this going to make Trump look after he recovers? It's they can't think that far out.
Yeah, chat's not coming up on that screen.
So if I were to make a prediction, I would say that Trump is going to recover, and then all the leftists, especially with the election going to be over soon.
We have a troll in the chat.
No, it's not a troll. I'll take any opinion seriously.
I mean, we can take it seriously.
It's all going to disappear after the election. Okay, we got 1 month left. Trump is going to recover, and the election's going to be over. All these people crying catastrophism over coronavirus, that's going to go away within probably like 2 months. That's just my prediction. I'll throw it out there.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I hope they get over it after the election, but they probably won't.
See, I don't even know what that means. Uneducated take. I don't know which aspect of that.
Yeah, that's why I'm like troll. Cause
which educated part are we? Well, see, don't default to troll right away though, because it could just be dumb.
Well, like tell us how we're uneducated. Like I'm just.
Yeah, we need a reason. That's the thing.
Yeah, like how am I being uneducated and like questioning why, like what the number is and like what's going on right now? Because unfortunately, like.
Oh no! See, maybe that's what it was. Maybe they're saying that when we say they don't know what the 200,000 number is or that's not real, maybe they're saying that's uneducated. So let me fix your problem there. So one of my clients is a gigantic healthcare provider, and I can tell you for 100% certainty that the numbers are inflated, not intentionally, not with malice, but not only are the numbers inflated, here's what you don't realize about the healthcare industry right now. Hospitals are on the verge of failing across the entire country. Why? Because their intake is down. Okay, they're not getting as many patients because people are scared to go to the hospital. A lot of patient services are limited to hospitals because they are only servicing COVID people. At least for a while they were. They're mostly opening up back now, but during that period, their revenue went down so far that, I mean, I've seen layoffs, I've seen waves of firing, programs being reduced across the board. And I'm talking about hospital systems that are like 50 hospitals big, okay? Mm. And they can get their money back if they can prove that they have expenses or losses related to COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So what they're doing is, anytime that something comes up as a COVID expense, they are listing it the same way you would on your taxes, where you might stretch the truth a little bit, or it's not going to be examined very closely, so you can put it on there.
It's like when the government asks you, like, how much did you donate to charity? It's like, of course you're going to inflate that a little bit so that way you feel good.
It's the same kind of thing.
It's like instead of giving...
It's happening across the board, so that's not an uneducated take. I work with healthcare companies directly. I can tell you that's how it is.
We're not saying, like, all the deaths are like a good thing, or like it's terrible what's going on.
I'm glad they're all dead. That's what they think. They think that we're happy and Trump is happy. They think Trump is happy.
Yeah, they think Trump is like, hell yeah. Like, I think that Trump is gonna like he said in his tweets, he's like, I'm gonna like quarantine for 2 weeks and then we're gonna go back to business. So I'm just.
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up about this whole Trump thing, because I think Trump had to get the coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, everybody should get it at some point.
I think he had to. No, yeah. I'm not saying he had to, like, statistically speaking. I'm saying he had to for his message to have the gravitas and to really have him walking the walk. Because his message with coronavirus is what? We need to open back up. And yes, there's an increased risk of getting coronavirus or some people dying, but that's the cost of saving the economy. Yeah. That's his message.
Like, what good is like locking down if we can't like open back up?
He kept going to rallies. He kept doing all the events, and guess what happened? He got the coronavirus. He walked the walk. He would at least acknowledge that he wasn't being a little bitch about it, and he was like hiding in a basement and not doing any rallies or anything like that, but going out and saying the exact opposite of we need to get back out and open up.
His rallies had like tens of thousands of people, and then like finally he got the Rona after like doing this for months and months and months, with like Rona being a thing. So
yeah, no, he's been exposed to probably hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of people.
And he just now got it?
He just now got it. And then the person that he got it from is like a person who's in really close proximity. And also too, like, what is the severity of like him, like him having it? Like, is he like asymptomatic? Is he like, does he feel ill? Because he doesn't look like he's ill. Like,
well, yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But he's on the interesting part about how he's going to get treated is just to see.
Yeah, also,
the media is going to be forced to acknowledge the effectiveness of those drugs.
Right?
What if he's going to take hydroxychloroquine?
Oh, he's definitely is. That's what I was trying to tell. Like, we can't say that. But
yeah, no, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah, you don't care? If you don't care, I don't care. Yeah, he's been on hydroxychloroquine. That's what he's been saying since the beginning, but they don't want to acknowledge that. They don't play you those clips on the mainstream.
Fauci probably has been on this whole time, too.
Well, yeah, they've all been. But the thing that's really sad is that they've been also, like, limiting, like, pharmacies having access to it as well.
Well, not only that, but it was a full-on media onslaught. And that's why this is going to be hilarious. And again, the leftists
they're just going to prove stuff right.
See, if the leftists played it right, they could have said when it's all said and done, after Trump recovers, like, oh, we're glad he recovered, and that's it. But now that they've put so much attention on it and they're cheering it on, they're not going to be able to dismiss, once it's done, the fact that he succeeded because of hydroxy
Yeah.
or the zinc and the vitamin D that he was on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. And those are.
They're not going to be able to just like brush that aside.
They can't
have
admit
to
when he's right. Like, when he's right about something.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's essentially what it is. It's like
CT, what's up, buddy?
We have somebody asking, said, dude, what video do I know you from?
Probably my video.
Yeah, like I would assume like his channel or just like something that he's done. But
I do.
Welcome to the stream.
Protest interview videos. Maybe you've seen me on one of those.
Yeah, maybe one of his like protest videos like just came up in your recommendations real quick, because I mean we did a stream a few days ago about the debates and like did like a little commentary and like a little bit after the debates were over we discussed stuff. But I honestly think that this whole corona thing is just a distraction from the debates. I mean, that's how it is. It's like from the debates.
Because people were going to say that people were saying before the first one that Biden was going to mysteriously get the corona.
Yeah, but now it's just debate. Trump getting it after. So.
And now it's like it's flipped because there's another debate scheduled for 13 days. But the thing is,
I feel like Trump's going to just figure out a way to spin it positive.
See, that's the thing. What if Trump just pops back?
Yeah,
like
he's
this
gonna
guy's saying.
Like, when is the next debate?
Like Steve said, Trump's gonna come back strong, and then what if he just walks out on the debate stage in 13 days, like, yo, what's up?
Yeah, like when is the next debate?
What is that? I don't even care.
Like, but I'm pretty sure whenever the next debate is, he's just gonna come out strong. It's
like 2 weeks.
Yeah, so he's gonna just quarantine up for 2 weeks, and I mean he's gonna quarantine up with his wife, so that's not that bad.
Well, he's probably on all kinds of like meth and whatever else, other kind of prescription drugs, steroids that they put him on.
Yeah, whatever.
You get that special stuff that the president gets.
Yeah, that special juice. You know that they're slipping something, because did you know, this is a fun fact, so when a president is like in office at the White House, no matter what time of day, no matter what the hell you want to eat, they have like a personal chef in the kitchen that makes the president and the first wife whatever they want.
I watch House of Cards.
Yeah, that's their job, is to be there. But we're just gonna, what we're doing tonight, we're just doing like a little like sit and chat. We're gonna talk about like political stuff, a little bit of like scientific stuff, and then like a little bit of pop culture, even though it's not that interesting to some people, but I thought it was relevant.
We're doing a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. So, stay tuned, listen, chime in, let us know how we sound
if you want to be told what to think, this is not the stream for you. But if you want to explore how to think and,
or just like, just to like question things, because we should all be questioning things, really. You should never just take the first thing that somebody tells you about something that you don't understand and like take it as like, yeah, this is fact.
What about, so the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life, I think, was Donald Trump was calling into Hannity's show last night. And Hannity asked him about the white supremacy stuff. And Trump basically said, I don't know much about the Proud Boys, but I disavow them.
It's like, I don't know who they are.
Like, dude, whatever. I don't even care. Whoever you think is I need to disavow, I disavow.
Assume is a Proud Boy, I disavow them.
Let me just say, I disavow everything that I don't understand. I disavow it right now. And
even though I don't know what I'm disavowing, I'm going to disavow it.
Yeah, exactly. No, this video is on the internet forever. So if anybody can reference back to it, when they're trying to dunk on me in the future, and I'll look in the camera right now and say, I denounce everything I don't understand. And that's the thing. Trump has no idea what the Proud Boys are.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's never asked them to do anything. He's never asked them for anything. The Proud Boys have even come out recently and said, like, he's never asked us to do anything. We do this all on our own. We are like free-thinking people that just, we love our country and defend and love people that love the country as much as we do. Because that's essentially what the Proud Boys are. They're just proud Americans that like love their country, and doesn't matter like what your color or your creed is, as long as you love the country, we have your back.
Here's my take. I treat it like a court case. Okay, you have a column here that for every reason why they're white supremacists. List them all out. I want to hear every single one. Please tell me.
Me too.
Give it to me. I want to hear it.
Me too.
But there's also another column over here that is all the stuff that goes against your argument that they're white supremacists. And I want to mention a few of those because I think it's hilarious. I've been on Twitter asking people, how would white supremacist group allow their leader to be a black Cuban minority?
Right.
I haven't gotten any good answers yet. Except one, the only answer that I've gotten is optics. It's for optics, which is funny. But not only, okay, so that's the first inconsistency.
Isn't that kind of racist to say that the only reason that they're like white supremacists is that they have like the token? But like, there's many.
The person that they let speak for them,
is the
totally.
token? Like that's pretty racist to say.
That's okay. So the first one is their leader is a black Cuban minority. Okay, that's the first inconsistency. So you got to explain that one to me. I don't understand that. Please explain that. And then the second one, Gavin McInnes, the founder, because if you're gonna look at it, you got to look at it as we're gonna go through. Let's start with the most prominent members, right? Which would number one be the leader, and then number two would be the founder.
Yeah.
Logically, that's how you would go, or vice versa, the founder and then the leader.
Yeah. Depending
okay, so
on
let's
how
do
you
that. The
choose
leader is black, minority, Cuban. Okay, so that doesn't make sense. Let's go to number two. Gavin McInnes. He's married to a Native American woman, and he has biracial children. So you got to explain that one to me too. And then the third one is that literally in their rules, if you go to their website, kind of like Black Lives Matter had it, they list out all of the things that they stand for. One of them is anti-racism.
Yeah.
So you gotta reconcile those three things with me. You know, if your column of white supremacist stuff is more significant than that column, then you could make the case for me in court. I would accept that they're white supremacists, but that's a hefty.
That's a
tall order to overcome. You got to explain those things away from me in something logical other than optics.
Yeah, and other than like
optics,
the look that they're not, they're not white supremacists because, or whatever, white nationalists, because like I said, I've talked to a couple different people who are Proud Boys, and they're like, not like. I know, right?
You're a white supremacist.
I'm a white supremacist too.
You gotta get on my studio.
Not only am I like have a little bit of brown in me, and I'm also like super gay, but they don't care. That's the thing. Like I've also met other gay Trump supporters who like wear heels in front of them, and they're not like beating them up randomly in the street. Like they don't care. As long as you love America and you're out there supporting the country, that's what they care about. Like
Ice Wall Bear says, "Welcome back to YouTube. Don't disappear for 8 months next time." Thanks,
right,
Brad.
exactly what White Ice Wall Bear says. He says there are like 37 white supremacists in the country. Not exactly a threat.
Yeah.
I agree. Like the amount of like not people who aren't white supremacists and who hate white supremacists and will actually like stand up against white supremacists far supersedes the amount of like actual white supremacists out there.
I haven't seen one yet, and I've been trying to find one because I would love to interview one.
Me too.
It'd be a great video.
I want to talk to them and ask them like, why do you hate me? Because like it doesn't make sense to me. Like.
Here's the funny thing. It's like Joe Rogan always, and I don't know why anyone else has brought that up, but I don't know. Maybe some viewers in chat watch Joe Rogan too, and you've seen this. But
probably.
He mentions the guy Clayton Bigsby, not Clayton Bigsby. That's the Dave Chappelle skit. There's a black guy he had on who talked to a bunch of KKK members and actually got them to leave.
I know what you're talking.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. His name is like.
And doesn't that just prove that KKK members are like not super close-minded or bigoted if they can just be talked out of the KKK? Like, why isn't that being used in as an example to just say, hey, look at these KKKs, they got talked out of it? How ingrained could you talk? Here's the question. Compare that to one of these socialist gender studies majors at a protest. Could you talk one of them out of that?
Right.
Who is more ingrained in their belief, the KKK member who got talked out of it by that guy,
by one person who showed him compassion and showed him like, hey,
I've tried to talk to these guys at the protests. I've tried to just be like, hey man, you want to get a beer, talk about it? And they're like, no, never have a beer with you.
And you know what I think would work if we ever do go back out into if we ever do like go out into the resistance, maybe instead of like you trying to talk to them, like you film me trying to talk to them, because
maybe
I feel like it would work a little bit more, because some of these people are just so far gone that they need like, oh my God, a queer woman actually like queer, even though I don't like the term queer. I hate that freaking word. I think
what's up, Huckleberry?
I know, like we'll get to like a little bit of the chats here in a sec, but I wanted to point this out. It's like maybe if we do future like protest videos or stuff like that.
This is what I've been saying. People like you, the intersectionality crew. I say that kind of ironically.
I know, ironically, but it's
you can joke with it.
I can joke with it and fit in right perfectly.
They need to get out there and talk. They need to be the ones. Like, all right, so white people don't really have freedom of speech right now.
I know,
Whether
and
you
it's sad.
whether you agree with that or not,
But you know
I
what's-
can't say everything that you could say.
Want to know what's even more sad is they would tell me that I'm white, and it's like,
Yeah.
and it's like I mostly am, but I'm also a little brown too. So
Well, it's because they don't want to listen to what you have to say.
I know exactly. So one thing I wanted to point out, Huckleberry in the chat said, can you scroll up real quick for me? So we have the chat in front of us so we can see what you guys are saying and interact a little bit. He said two quotes for everyone. Ask what you can do for your country, not what your country can do for you. 2, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And that's true. Like, what can you do for your country? Like, all of these people who are like out there protesting and just being mad about certain things.
Oh, this
It's
guy's
like-
got the best name on the planet. Kegel Destroyer. Shout out to Kegel Destroyer. That's the best I've ever seen.
That is a nice name, I will
He
admit.
says Proud Boys numbers are going to skyrocket. Well, here's the interesting thing. We've all seen the
Peanut
videos
Butter Boys.
recently. I like that. I want to join that club.
Kinda.
There's like Enrique Tarrio, I think is his name, and then some other bearded brown guy. Both came out and they said, one of them even had a press conference with a Black Lives Matter member, and they both said, we denounce white supremacy together.
Right?
So I want to know, and here's the other stupid, awful thing. Combine that with the fact that Chris Wallace asked Trump the same question back in 2016 at a debate. Literally, same question.
Same exact question.
So we have all this evidence that we're just choosing to ignore, and you don't even want to build a case for it. Like, you don't want to fill that column up with reasons why they're white supremacists. You just want to call them white supremacists and ignore all the stuff over here. See, you're not in the realm of objectivity or anything anymore. Like, what even is that? You're literally. I always like to bring up the playground analogy. You're just a kid who's
yeah, exactly. You can tell them all day, every day, like, I denounce this, or I don't like this. I agree with you.
I think you need to denounce it.
And then, like, they just still don't hear it. Do not fuck with the Peanut Butter Boys. Hell yeah.
We should start a crew called the Peanut Butter Boys.
Well, the only reason I see the Peanut Butter Boys, because earlier today I went to the bookstore to buy Candace Owens' new book. And on my way back, I stopped and grabbed myself some In-N-Out because I was hungry.
You're hardcore.
Well, I mean, I like reading and hearing all sides. And the fact that she has a book out, I like reading. Like, I love to read. So I was like, I'm going to pick it up and just read it for myself and see what it's about. Even though I do tend to like her, but it's fine. Anyway, so I was listening to a live stream of another person who's like a minority in the the Trump train, like me. He's a Native American dude, lives in like New Mexico, and that's what he called the Proud Boys. He called them the Peanut Butter Boys, and I just died. So because he was like, I can't call them, out, because my stuff will get flagged and get taken down.
Well, we're just to wrap this Proud Boys stuff up. We're now white supremacists because we talked about them without saying that we hate them by default.
Right.
So, but if anyone's willing to come in and fill up that other column, of stuff that they've done that makes them white supremacist, I still want to hear it. I'm open to it. I'm ready to be convinced. Please provide me with all the evidence that they're a white supremacist, and if it outweighs the column of the stuff that does not make sense, I will change my mind. I will call them white supremacists.
Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I love
Super chat by Robert Pickle Snickle. You want to read that one?
He says, good to see you back. I don't think America is coming back because it relies on people coming together as Americans. The left thinks the USA is irredeemably racist and unable to be saved. Needs to be deconstructed. We need a divorce. And I think that that's true. We do need a divorce.
Do you think there's a solution for that, though? I do. I want to see if you have one, though, before I tell you mine.
I don't want to say like a civil war, but it's a culture war at this point. So I think the only way that we can like get past this is if like people just understand that America is not like a race. It's an idea. It's a thought, and it's like doesn't matter what your skin color is. It's like as long as you love.
How do you implant that idea, though?
I know, and that's what I don't like. That's how you do it through music and through art and through conversation like this. Education, not just like one side of like the coin of education, but the other side as well, so that the people who understand what's going on and like the manipulation that's going on in this country and in this culture, especially in this day and age, can really just be like, I'm gonna look past this and like choose the American side instead of like this like dark path of just hate and negativity, which is what I feel like a lot of people are on. So I do agree, like we do need to have like, there just needs to be a culture shift, but I just don't know how to do it aside from like, oh, we need to have more artists and people supporting like the idea of America instead of like hating America.
That's the long-term solution, is changing the education system, and Trump knows that. That's why he said that education was a civil rights issue of our time at one of his rallies. He knows, and that really is that is the civil rights issue of our time, because the education system is what's pumping out these kids who think they're oppressed because their teachers are telling them they're oppressed.
Yeah, their teachers
are talking to them all this BS about, you know, anal fisting and all this other sex ed stuff when
blood play
when they're 6 years old. I was gonna say when they're level 6.
When they're level, I mean,
I've been playing a lot of video games during the lockdown.
I mean, I've been playing video games too. Like,
but they're not they're teaching them literally to hate America. It's not hyperbole. It's really not even
that's
hyperbole.
kind of why
they're teaching them about the 1619 Project stuff, where everything is built on slavery and America is a colonial, you know, monster and this and that. So that is the long-term solution.
It is
to correct the education system, get some balance in there.
And that's why
just some balance. I'm not saying full control, but the problem with that is it's about a 20-year lag between implementing that and then seeing the effects. So what we're experiencing now started about 20 years ago, back in 2000.
Yeah.
So that's the long-term change, but the short-term change, and I think what Robert was inferring almost was a separation.
Yeah.
I think, how cool would this be? I think the solution is to have either an opt-in system of government, a separate opt-in system, or literally physical separation. So give California to the leftists, let them have their socialist paradise here.
Let them have the West Coast because they want it.
Let them have it. Let them do whatever they want here.
Let them have California, Oregon, and Washington.
Yeah, let them have the West Coast. That's fine. Do whatever you want. It's your own country. But you don't get that tax money anymore.
You don't get that federal money no more.
You can turn the whole thing into the West Coast Chaz and just start pissing all over each other and
West Coast Chaz.
Dumping, trying to make like
got to come up with a clever like
gardens.
acronym for that. The West Coast Chaz.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, it's the best possible outcome that we could ask for is for them to get everything they want.
Right?
Give them I want nothing more.
You get universal health care, but the health care is
everything that they want.
You get universal education, but the education is crap.
So they can see it. And then you know what happens with that prospect is that if they're their own country, now they're competing with us.
Right?
They're competing with capitalism. And so imagine how short-lived that was going to be. So, think about it like right now. We're competing against other countries. And this is the big picture thing that nobody ever remembers when they're talking about politics and how they want to change America drastically, is that we are in competition constantly with other countries.
We are, because
they don't realize that. Because, and not even if you're the best, even if you're number 4, you're still competing with everybody else.
We're always competing.
We're always competing. You're in a marketplace.
You know what a big problem I've noticed too? So, like growing up, I noticed that like instead of like at sporting events, they like didn't keep score at shit, and it's like there's no winners, and it's like, the hell there isn't.
Well, that's another problem.
Yeah, that's why I feel like this
success.
Antifa and BLM bullcrap. It's because those are the kids that were raised on the idea that there's no winners and no losers.
They all got participation trophies.
They all got participation trophies. It's like, the reason I didn't get the best awards in school was because I slacked off, and I accepted that, and I did better. Like, that's how you learn, is by losing and doing like and not winning at stuff sometimes. Of course, you got to win and you got to lose. Like, that's a balance of life. You win some, you lose some. I hate that saying, but it's fucking true. Like, you learn more from losing than you do from winning. Let me just tell you that.
It's true, and they don't have the ability to see like the second and third order consequences of losing in an environment where there are no safety nets. There's no safety nets for Chinese troops landing on our shore.
Oh no.
There's no like, I can just file this government thing and I get a check and then I'm happy.
We have the National Guard, but like, guess what? If you like take...
No, the National Guard is them. That's the thing.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying, like, if we gave the West Coast like to just like this the left, let them have their own like sovereign land of California, Oregon, and Washington.
Marxistopia.
If like China was like, okay, well, we're gonna or China bought it from us, literally bought it from us, because they pretty much do own us at this point. They could. And like the United States was just like, okay, we're just gonna like cut this debt off and like give you California, and we'll see how you guys do when we cut off like all trade, we pull out our troops and everything like that, and then the Chinese come and invade us, and then we don't have a national military to like defend us. Like, Like,
Yeah.
then they'll be freaking crying. Like,
well,
they'll be crying so hardcore.
We could find some land that nobody wants.
And then there'll be patriots like
Ice Wall Bear doesn't want to give any land, but
yeah, exactly. Like Ice Wall
an
Bear
easy
was
way to.
like saying like I'm gonna fight for it. And I'm like I agree.
Well, what's the difference between giving them some land and then just a slow takeover of the land anyway, which is what you see in Portland, in Seattle,
That's what has
in
happened
San
over the-
Francisco. It's either slow or we just give it to them. They're going to take it over either way. That's what you got to realize. So they can do it the slow way, and all the people who live there who are normal, they get screwed because eventually, they're going to have people marching by their house, and then they got to do the shotgun out the window and all that. So,
But I swear, like if anything, if California was just like we're not gonna be a part of the union anymore, I swear my family would just up and leave and take me with them because like they love America so much that they're like, oh hell no,
most people would.
and that's how like that it would not it's not a valid idea. Like
Here we can sell them though. Ice Wall Bear. What if you didn't have to pay welfare or health care or any of your tax money towards those people anymore though? We can incentivize this to make it so
We
that
could.
you might like the deal. You know what I'm saying? Because they're no longer leeching those tax dollars.
right,
They're on
exactly,
their own system now. They don't tie in with us anymore.
right.
So we can figure out a way to make it work.
But of course, like I'm pretty sure the like people on the other side of the spectrum would be like, well, it's most of Middle America that's sucking up all the tax money.
Yeah. Well.
I'm just like, yeah, all like, what, like 10% of them? Like, come on now.
I think
What is Middle America?
anyone who lives in California commenting about the middle class is
Or the
lacking
middle of this
massive
country.
levels of self-awareness because they've been bleeding middle class here in California at least since I got here.
I
I've only been
agree.
here like
Well,
3 years.
California doesn't have a middle class anymore. Honestly.
Everyone I know left.
Yeah,
Literally.
I'm surprised my family hasn't left. Kyle did nothing wrong. I agree. He didn't. He defended himself.
Nice segue. I liked it.
I mean, I agree with that just from like the footage that I've seen of like what happened to the poor kid. The only thing he did wrong was that he was too young to be holding that gun for himself, but
The evidence doesn't appear that he did anything.
He's going to get
wrong.
off on like a misdemeanor.
So my opinion is a little more nuanced than hers.
I mean,
You're
probably.
just like, you did nothing wrong. I'm like, well, it doesn't seem like he did.
I mean, he didn't. I mean, of course, like killing
There could
somebody.
be some secret footage
Killing
of
somebody
him,
is
like, stabbing somebody
killing
with a
somebody
Bowie
is
knife
killing
behind the
somebody
dumpster
is
or something.
always
You never know.
wrong. Like that is always wrong. Like but he didn't like. They're trying to go after like murder. Like he intentionally like.
Well, that's what they were trying to do with Chauvin, too. And I don't know if that's an emotional reaction because they want to charge higher to make people feel good.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to get it.
They're not going to get it. That's why I'm like irritated with the justice system right now. Is because they have these unrealistic expectations.
I'm down for actual justice, but
Exactly.
let's
It's like I'm
not
down
turn
for
them into
actual
political.
justice, but not like aim too high and then get mad when you don't get what you want. Like aim for what you can aim for.
Well, there was
Especially in the justice system, because there's so many other things that they could, like, of course they can charge Kyle with other things, but like murder, like no, he didn't murder like those people. They attacked him. Like
the interesting development on that.
why would you attack somebody that has an AR-15 strapped to them? Like you're just dumb.
Well, they're low IQ,
Like,
but they
dumb.
just dismissed lawsuits from multiple different plaintiffs, I believe, on defamation. So his lawyers are suing people, I think media companies, for the way that they were looking at it. Same way with like the Covington kids, you know how they sued for defamation.
Yeah.
And I think that just got dismissed, I believe.
Thank you for the super chat, CT. And
CT.
he says this question is, what do you think happens next year if Democrats pack the court and like if Trump loses? I mean,
I don't think they will.
I don't think they're gonna win, but if I'm gonna play like
Well, I don't
the
think they
new
would pack it.
I don't think they'll
'Cause if they
pack it
would,
either.
If that was what they were going for, if that was the all-in narrative, everyone would be on board. Obama, all of the Pelosi, everyone would be on board.
I mean, Obama did
Schumer.
endorse Biden, but it wasn't
You're
like
just not hearing a lot of buzz about it, so I'm just like
it's
reading
not
between
like
the lines.
it's not
you know
like
what I'm saying?
it's not like he was like super gung ho about it. Honestly, all of like the energy that they are putting towards Biden, the Democrats are putting towards Biden, is so low energy. That's how you know that they're like kind of like, yeah, he's gonna lose, but I'm still gonna vote for him anyways.
I don't see it as something that's so far-fetched that they wouldn't try to do it, because it is pretty far-fetched. But maybe in 2024, we get, because the Overton window is shifting so rapidly that is going to be something that's acceptable to do, to just say, hey, we want 56 justices or 59 justices, whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
And then just, because they will, because this is what I'll say. This is why they would do it, because their MO, literally, is to, after they lose the election, they lose their Trump-Russia narrative lie, they lose whatever, they lose the Supreme Court nominee, their MO is to change the rules of the game.
Oh, yeah.
So with the election, they lost, and now what? They want to eliminate the Electoral College.
Yeah. Well,
they lose, you got to change the rule. Nominee of Supreme Court, they lost. Trump's going to get 3.
Yeah.
Now they want to change the rules.
They won. There have been many of the Democratic, prominent Democratic leaders that have come out and said, we want to radically change the rules of, the fundamental rules of America. And, what makes our country so great is that we have, these rules and these laws and, the 3 branches of our government. And they just want to, supersede all of that and just change it because, I mean, they're just so uneducated. They are so mad and so upset that the system doesn't work for them that they're we're going to just change the rules instead of just learn the rules.
Going back
instead
to my
of
playground,
learning the rules, they want to change the rules. How pathetic is that?
I'm going to try to spread this as much as I can. The playground analogy.
It is the playground analogy.
Because everything that you're seeing in politics right now is no more complex than watching children play around on a playground. Right now, all we're just seeing them do is throw a temper tantrum.
Yeah, that they're not
and
winning.
And they're escalating the tantrum because there's no adults around to smack them across the face and say, hey, shut up.
Right.
Stop crying.
I mean, conservatives are trying to do that, but then they get called, the R word, and then they get called all, misogynist and homophobic or whatever, whatever it may be, in order to discredit whatever they're saying.
Yeah, it's a case of the lunch monitors, the recess monitors. They're just completely spineless. You remember when you were in school?
Yeah, there was always that one
guy that was there. No, it was the one guy, the monitor, the adult who was there. You knew that you could get away with a lot more stuff because he wasn't going to do anything.
Yep.
That's what the situation that the left is in right now. They're just in a low friction state where they can propose this radical, stupid garbage, and nobody's that's you're changing the rules that have been a certain way for a long time. It's not really something you do just because you lose.
Yeah.
But they're getting away with it.
Yeah, they
people are taking it seriously.
Well, people just are I think it's a culmination of things. Honestly, there's a lot of people who are on the Democratic side because they're the environmentalists that are we need to stand up for our environment and we need to vote for these policies that the Democrats are proposing in order to save our environment. And then you have people that are the feminists, and then you have the people that are the the gay rights and the transgender rights. Then they all want to be under this umbrella of the Democratic Party because it's they're Democratic. So they're better than the Republicans.
I don't know what that word means anymore.
I know exactly. It's that's not what our country is. Our country's not a pure democracy. They don't even understand the fundamental premise of our country. It's a culmination of different ideas. That's why we're a representative republic. We elect these officials to not necessarily do our bidding, but to listen to us about what we think are going to make our lives better. But the problem is we're electing idiots that aren't listening to us and don't have our best interests at heart most of the time. And that's why Trump won, was because Trump was hey, I care. I'm one of you. So elect me, and what do you have to lose? That's what he told the minorities. And honestly, he's done so good for them. That's why when people say he's a racist or he's a homophobe or he's a sexist or a xenophobe, I'm how? Point me to evidence of how. He's done not just for the queer community itself, but just for a bunch of different types of people. We go to America rallies here, even in Sacramento, and I see all different types of people. I'm how are all of these people racist?
Just ignore it.
I know.
CT says that Biden refuses to answer the question. There's some buzz about it in the mainstream media as far as packing the courts. I think it's a situation where they're testing the waters and they want to see if they can get away with it.
Yeah, I mean,
if it happens, then I don't know. I'm gonna move to Japan. I'll just do that.
Right? Yeah, and then Kegel Destroyer, he says, do you think the Biden campaign...
I can Kegel 70 pounds.
Do you think the Biden campaign somehow gave the Trump campaign corona at the debate? Seems kind of strange timing. He said Linda, but... Oh, he corrected himself, kinda. But... I mean, it is Linda strange timing, just a bit, but
I don't think, you know, maybe they gave it to him, but I don't think they had to do it at a debate. I mean, they could have.
Yeah, they could have done it. I mean,
They had plenty of
I
other
think they tracked it
opportunities
to like one
were
of
less
his. I think
conspicuous.
they tracked it to like one of his staffers. So she's like in close proximity to him like all the time. So and he's in the airplane and.
What if?
So
and we're gonna get.
It doesn't matter if you're wearing a mask in the airplane. You're still gonna get corona.
I want to get deleted off the planet for suggesting this, but what if? Just, you know, because we're here to think, we're here to examine the possibilities, right? We're just open-minded guys and gals. What if the whole coronavirus thing was specifically designed to be let out into the wild and eventually get to the United States president and take him out? Like, look at the survival rate, right? It kills people only over 70,
right.
only obese, which he is.
Yeah.
Only unhealthy, which he probably is.
I mean, he does eat unhealthy, and he probably doesn't exercise as much.
It's just interesting to think about.
It is interesting to think about, but he is on like he has been on a good regimen of vitamins, and like you know he's been like going for days on days and days on his campaign, and he's been around like tens of thousands of people, and he didn't get the corona. So that to me,
I'm surprised he didn't get it sooner. To be honest,
exactly. That's what I'm like.
Earlier.
It's so sad because like I followed this one really fine girl that on Instagram, and I had to unfollow her because she was just posting some ignorant stuff on her Instagram, and it's a sad
That's
moment.
Always the worst.
It's a sad moment for me, like because you know I'm single and I love the ladies, but it's just so sad when I have to like unfollow crazy people that just spout nonsense.
It's a bad feeling, yeah.
It is because it's like we could have possibly been something.
I hate like when you see a celebrity that you like Jim Gaffigan just recently lost his marbles, and it's like, oh man, you too.
I know you too.
Bummer.
Yeah,
Dude,
like
oh,
a bunch of actors and celebrities that I know that have just been posting political stuff. I'm just like, God, good thing. I'm so sad I have to unfollow you because I love you. Like Kevin Hart, he was posting some and that's one thing that I wanted to bring up too, like pop culture wise, is like so many celebrities have been going out and saying like, vote. We need to vote.
Yeah.
And they're not specifically saying who to vote for.
That's why it's funny.
That's why it's hilarious. And then like a couple days later,
they assume that everyone they're talking to is going to vote for Biden.
Yeah, they assume that you're going to vote for Biden no matter what. Even though it's like, if you look at the comments, especially on Instagram, it's so funny because it's like Trump 2020, Trump 2020.
Wait, no, don't vote. Don't vote.
It's like, wait, no, don't vote. Or I'm just going to delete it because if you delete it, it didn't happen.
Icefall Bear says if you give a bear a treat, does he go away satisfied?
No.
No, he'll eat you eventually. Same with the left. Give them ground and they will worse.
He'll eat you eventually, but what's worse is he'll come back and like pick through your trash when you're not looking.
I do agree with that.
It's true. Like that's what bears do. Like
they would find a way to advance it from that foothold somehow. You're probably right, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm glad that we have patriots like Icewall that are willing to like stand up and be like, no, I'm going to fight you because this is not right. That's why we have the Second Amendment, y'all. Like, just to defend ourselves from like the government, but also from just stupid people that like want to overthrow the government and just be ridiculous about it. Like
I like to theorize the possibilities, though. You know what I mean? Like
right? In the worst case scenario.
Well, it's a good movie plot for a sci-fi movie, a sci-fi dystopian thriller. Okay,
I'm surprised
in
nobody's...
a world divided by left and right, a country is split in two. Will they succeed? Nobody knows. Something like that, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, it's just fun to think about.
Yeah. And Josiah just said, Jim Carrey used to think he was above Hollywood, but he has a bad case of TDS. Yeah, he does. A lot of celebrities do, which is sad because there's very few celebrities that like come publicly out to say like, yeah, I support the president, even though necessarily like he's an idiot. Like I do. Like I'm like, I support the president, even though, but I acknowledge that he's an idiot sometimes. Most of the time.
Here's the thing though.
Some of the time, whatever.
The people that I've noticed on the right, they aren't as absolutist as the people on the left. So, you know, even though Jim Carrey has clearly lost his marbles, too, over Trump, crazy stage 5 TDS, I went and saw the Sonic movie, and I thought he was good in it, and I liked him.
Of course, like, as an actor, it's like, I'm still going to watch your stuff.
He was really good in that movie, and I'm not going to be like, I hate Jim Carrey.
Yeah, no, I'm still going to watch his stuff.
Because he said something I don't like, I'm going to boycott everything, and no, come on. That's not how, you can't have a society like that, because somebody's always going to say something to you.
Right? Yeah, people are always going to have something to say.
We don't want to talk about his herpes, CT. That's,
yeah, like, I mean, I'm sure he probably does.
He's not the best guy, personal life-wise.
Yeah, like,
that's
are we going to be best friends? Like, no, but, like, am I still going to go watch his movies and appreciate him as an actor? Probably.
The reason I'm able to say that about him is because I say the same thing about Trump. Like, yeah, he's a dickhead, and he's retarded sometimes,
But he does he's doing
I
a
still
good
like
job.
some of the things that he does. I'm not. We don't have to agree with every single thing somebody does or says. You
Be
just
like, as Flecka says, he's not that bad. Like, he's not the best, and he's not the worst, but he's not that bad. You just need to have that like nuance of like, you know, I'm not going to be.
Children aren't capable of nuance, so
Well,
not capable of. That's a complex opinion.
Yeah, it is a complex opinion.
It requires more than one variable. It's not absolutist.
Yeah.
It's actually difficult to do.
It
For
is.
some people, they don't have the capacity to do that.
That's one thing I've learned being like a lesbian Trump supporter is that, especially online, when people do find out like, oh my God, you support Trump, how? And then I explain, like, I just give like a couple good reasons, like, and I ask them, I'm like, well, what do you want me to like explain to you, like what has he done for like the gay community and like the lesbian community, or like what has he done for America in general? Because I can give you like a couple different reasons for each category, and most people are like both. And then when I come at them with facts, they're just like, ugh. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, they always get them. You see those videos where they go online and they're like, "Oh, well, this is Biden's proposal," and then they're like, they read it off, and then the people they're interviewing, they say, "Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. That sounds great." And then the interviewer is like, "Actually, that's Trump's opinion, or that's Trump's policy," and then they're like, "Oh,
I know, right? Yeah, but I've seen some.
Now I hate it."
Exactly. It's like, oh, and then when you do like spit out facts to them that actually make sense and are actually like quite positive, they're like, I don't want to think of him in a positive light, and it's like, why? Like, what is the problem with like just trying to have like a positive mindset about things and just being like, you know what, instead of like expecting the worst and like thinking the worst, like why not just be happy and just like try to find the positive? Like, I feel like I've seen like this on social media lately. People are like, I can't stand people who are too positively toxic. They're too like toxic positive. I'm like, what?
Toxic positive?
Yes. Where it's
what
like,
does that even
when
mean?
you like, if you go on social media, like on your stories and shit, and you're just like, you know, I hope everybody has a good day. Like, this is kind of what I was doing for a little bit. I was like, I hope everybody has a wonderful day. You drink a glass of water, eat good food, get some exercise, hug somebody that matters to you. And then, like, the next day I see people being like, I'm so sick of people trying to be positive, especially right now because of there's so much inequality going on in the world. And it's just like, really? This is the time when we need toxic positivity. Are you kidding me?
One of these episodes, what I'm going to do is make a map. Okay, we're going to map out everything in a web, the whole reason why we are where we are right now. And I've already got it all in my head, and that's one of the main points, is that people, they don't have the perspective or the gratitude of where they're at. They always, it's what I call the perfection fallacy.
Yeah.
If one black man dies in a 10-year span to the cops, the whole system is racist.
Yeah, it's racist.
That's the whole premise that they're operating off of, that because something is not perfect, it is like, it's the worst possible thing.
It's the system. It's not like the individual person. It's not in like it's not like, you know, circumstances that people had absolutely no control of. It's the system that's the problem, because that's the easiest explanation. It's the system, instead of like like you said, the complexity.
Because that's not a real answer.
It's not a real answer. Well, it is a real answer.
You can say it sounds real, but it's not.
It's a real answer to people who don't understand how complex things are, because human beings are like the most complex creatures.
Yeah, that answer works at that low frequency brain range, like in an 80 to 90 IQ, you know what I mean?
We know more about other mammals. We know more about mammals that have been extinct for thousands of years than we know about our own human brains. Like, so the fact that like
everything about leftist brains.
I mean, we understand the leftist brains because they're like low IQ and low vibrational energy.
All exactly the same.
They are the same.
So you have a lot of instances to learn off of.
Well, it's just the same tactics. Like, you see it across like all spectrums of like media. People will go up and try to talk to these leftists, and the minute that they give them like any kind of thought-provoking questions or any kind of like facts about anything, they're just like, they shut down, and they're just like, no.
Or they try to shut you down.
And they try to shut you down and then be like, no, don't talk to this person.
He says the left's cancel culture is the worst thing to come about.
It's true, it is.
Anything can be cancel cultured, even if it's the majority opinion.
Exactly, I agree.
And you know why that is because the left has majority control over media right now. So when you're looking at like the battlefield of culture, that's one of the best pieces to hold is mass media, right? Because then you can reinforce whatever narratives that you want regardless if they're held by the majority or the minority. It doesn't matter.
And unfortunately, the conservatives gave like the media and art and a lot of different and education over to the left. They were like, here, you guys can have it. We'll let you guys do what you want with it.
I'm perfectly cool with individuals like crying and complaining about whatever stupid thing they want to cry and complain about this week. Awesome. Love it. Get a Facebook group together. Get it going.
Right.
You know, whatever you want to do.
Go out and protest peacefully and like.
But when the companies who have the reach are the ones who are propagating that message, that's where it gets.
When it's not like an individual, like when it's not like an individualistic idea, or it's just like. It just doesn't make sense. Like that's what I've like noticed about like some of these like left wing kind of like ideologies. They just don't make sense to me. Like I was raised to believe that like the individual matters more than like the collective, and it's like shifted drastically in the last like few years where it's like people care more about the collective than they do just the individual. And it's like without the individual you wouldn't even have a collective. So you have to be kind of individualistic and like let people be themselves and like not cancel them because they choose to go against the grain and like think differently than you.
Do you know how to fix that? It's kind of what Ice Wall Bear says. You have to get in trouble and you have to be brave and never stop fighting.
That's true.
You have to resist, you know, as much as that word has been hijacked and it sounds stupid now, you have to fight back against that.
The conservatives have to resist more.
Malicious compliance is a good option. Straight up malcompliance, you know, with certain words aren't sayable anymore. But the problem with that is, here's the problem with that. We all know that's the way to do it, but here's the problem. And it's exactly what you were just saying. This is why I brought it up. The right is individualistic, naturally. The left is collectivistic, naturally. They will reinforce and get behind anybody who's under attack. The right is not so good at that.
Yeah, we're not.
So if I came out and I said,
I think we're getting better, but we're still not the best at it.
If I called somebody a retard, which, you know, I just did on.
I mean, you shouldn't do, of course, but if you do say it, I'm not gonna get mad at you.
I'm not gonna get the support of all these people on the right coming out and be like, yeah, he should be able to say that.
Yeah, no, they're gonna be like, don't say that, but they're not gonna like beat you up for it.
It's just not the same presence.
Yeah.
So there's no backup. That's what I'm saying. There's on the left, if you're under attack, you've got a lot of backup because of the collective nature of that group of people. On the right, you don't have the same level of backup. Like I wouldn't get a news article from whatever, Fox News. I wouldn't go on Tucker Carlson. I wouldn't get any interviews if I got fired from my job for saying that I don't like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
I would get no backup. The left, it'd be all over the place.
Yeah.
Everyone would be helping. And that's why fighting back, it doesn't work that well for...
It doesn't, because like I said, we've surrendered like certain things to the left. And I think one thing that we need to do besides like, besides like give the West Coast to China is...
I think it's a great plan.
It's a great solution. But... I think one thing is my whole premise of like changing culture and it's just changing minds and changing, like trying to have like these conversations, even though it's difficult and you gotta like.
It's education.
It's education and
the people who are in the system right now, who have already gone through the educational system, they're not savable. They're gone. They're damaged goods.
I'm just having such a kind heart.
Okay, not 100% of them, like 90% of them. At least for the foreseeable future. So you have to get control of the education system again and pump people out with the right mindset. You have to get
culture, like you have to get like art as well. Like this is what me and you were talking about is like the whole
art is absolute garbage.
Art is absolute garbage, and like I see some conservative leaning people like trying to take back art. Like I think up in the chat earlier somebody said like Tom McDonald. Tom McDonald is a prime example of that, and I think like artists like Bryson Gray, like the black conservative rapper that I showed you, he's freaking awesome too. Like he just like spits the verse out on like a pretty fun beat, like gets you dancing. That's a good
direction. I think that is a good direction.
And that's just like culture and like, you know, pop culture. We also have a super chat from Ed. That's it. He wants us to share our thoughts on this link that he sent us. So.
All right, we'll open it up and take a look.
We'll take a look real quick.
So. Brian, my buddy, says that. If I could scroll back up here. When it comes to politics, it's really hard to find anyone to debate in good faith and hash it out.
It's true.
Because the thing is,
it's very true.
You can't have what's considered a standard conversation with these people. It's almost like you have to have a Trojan horse.
Yeah.
I have to go into the conversation with somebody on the left with walking on eggshells, being careful not to say the wrong words, being careful to agree emphatically with certain things that they say because they're looking for signals.
Yeah,
that if I don't agree with emphatically, then they know I'm an enemy.
And not getting upset when they say something stupid, or
not getting upset when they that's like the base. I've got that one down, no problem.
I mean, I'm a little bit of a hothead in that case.
So you have to do all this special stuff to be able to, you know, even just communicate with them, and even then your likelihood of getting through, like he says, is really it's not there.
Yeah, it's not there. It's difficult, and that's why I feel like conversations like yours and mine, and like the people that we're chatting with on the chat right now, is really important, because we need to have these conversations and be willing to listen. That's the biggest thing as well. Okay, so what do we have here? What is it? hrc.org.
Trump's timeline of hate.
Oh, is it like a Hillary Clinton website? Like just
this is
all the bad shit that Trump has done.
Oh, this is the anti-LGBTQ stuff.
Oh my God.
Done. So let's run these by you.
Okay.
This is why we have Delaney.
Yeah, this is why you have the local queer here.
She's the intersectional.
Even though I freaking hate that word, I'll say it just because
So let me run a couple of these by you and
point out how stupid it is.
See what you think. As you know, how offended or damaged and harmed you are by what these things are.
Let's look at it.
So the first thing on the list is January 20th, 2017, less than 2 hours after Trump and his virulently anti-LGBTQ activist vice president Mike Pence were sworn into office. All mentions of LGBTQ issues were removed from the official White House webpage.
Oh my God! Like, how dare he take stuff off of his website that he owns? Like, oh. I'm so affected by that. Like, so, what? What kind of,
But your representation, though.
I mean...
Your issues. What were your issues?
I don't have any issues.
No, what were your issues? So this is from 2017. What were your issues as a LGBTQ member in 2017? Like, how...
Nothing.
You can't even think of anything?
I can't even think of anything. Like, there's no, rights that Trump has stripped from me as a queer person that, I'm, that upset about. So... Next. I don't know what the hell. I mean, maybe for the T's and the Q's, because I'm in the L, so, you know, even in the freaking LGBT community, there's still all kinds of incel fighting or inward fighting in the community.
Oh yeah, you're
just as Dave Chappelle said in one of his stand-ups, he's like, if we're all in the car, we all agree that we're all disgusting in our own way.
All right. Next one is HRC and millions of demonstrators around the world came together for the Women's March to protest Trump and his new administration aimed at tearing back our progress. Oh, this is just some other Trump garbage. Okay, here's a good one. Trump's State Department removed from the website former Secretary of State John Kerry's apology for the infamous Lavender Scare witch hunt in the 1950s and 60s. Do you care about that?
No, because I didn't even know what the Lavender Scare hunt was.
Neither did
I mean, I'll probably have to Google it, but really,
your entire identity is based off of
my
this
whole
one
entire
event.
identity is based off of this event that happened before I was even born.
Yeah, so I think
they didn't even think in high school we covered some LGBT stuff, but it wasn't that stuff from the Salem witch trials or something stupid like that. It was Harvey Milk in San Francisco trying to get gay rights on a local bill and shit like that.
There's a ton of stuff on here, and I think we should actually go through here and have you do some of these sometime, because there's a lot. We can't go through them right now.
Yeah,
but we've got the gist of it.
This is so fun.
We can tell that that list is probably BS, because obviously I haven't seen you break down into a puddle or anything like that.
I'm not breaking down in tears.
I don't know what happens when your existence is invalidated. I don't know what that looks like, but I don't think I've seen it happen.
My existence as a woman and also as a gay woman, or a lesbian woman. Oh my God. How dare Trump try to decriminalize homosexuality worldwide. They don't mention that on this website.
I'm sure they don't.
They don't. All they try to mention is all of these so-called injustices or inhumane treatments of the LGBT. They're complaining that Trump didn't want the gay flag during Pride Month to be on the main flagpole, I think on Capitol Hill or something like that. when he
Well,
had the gay.
If the flag's not up, they don't exist.
Yeah, well, they
how it works.
they had the flag up, but it wasn't on like the main like middle flagpole where like the American flag and like the state flag is. It was like on one of the secondary poles, but they're still complaining that it's like, oh, how dare he not have it on the main flagpole? It's like, I'm sorry, it's not that it's not that big a deal.
Again,
like you should just be glad that you should just be glad that the flag's up.
Back to the playground analogy.
Next year, I swear to God, they're gonna be like mad that he doesn't put like a BLM flag up if he wins. They're gonna be like, how dare he not put up?
I don't know if BLM is that acceptable.
The
numbers are not looking good.
They're not looking good, but I guarantee you that they're gonna cry about it. I've seen people with like BLM flags in their front yard with like the transgender flag and the agender flag and the gay pride flag and the new gay pride flag. Right?
I want a flag. Oh wait, I have one. It's the American flag.
Right? Me too. That's my flag.
That's everybody's flag.
I mean, so him and I, we hung out at a pro-America rally, and I was waving like my rainbow American flag. Like it had the 50 stars in the corner, but it had like the rainbow stripes on it. And oh my God, everybody came up to me and they're like, I love your flag. Can I take a picture of it? I love it. Wait, are you conservative? And I'm like,
I was told there'd be a lot of homophobic people at like a pro-America event.
I mean, I saw Asians.
That's why I went.
I saw black people. I saw Mexicans. I saw white people.
We don't want to talk about that. No,
we don't want to talk about that. They're all racist.
Can't say that. All right.
Oh, Ed, that's it. He said, you guys are the first I've ever super chat. Best $5 ever.
We popped super chat, Jerry.
You're welcome, Ed. Well, we appreciate you sending us that. And what we're probably going to do later, we're going to save that link that you sent us, and we're going to do like a video of me as a, queer or, LGBT degenerate, as I like to call myself, and he likes to call me. We're going to go through that HRC list of like the things that like Trump hates about the gays.
That's a good list. I like that.
I like it too because
it's concise.
This is what people are. This is what the left. This is literally what the left is reading about, like how much Trump hates LGBT people, and that's why they're surprised when they're like, "Oh my God, how dare you? Look at HRC's website and how like he hates gays." And I'm just like, "But how? Like this isn't proving that he hates me personally."
I just want to see. So that's that when I was talking earlier about the columns and trying to convince me like a court case that the Proud Boys are white supremacists. Right? That's only one column. They're not showing any of the good stuff that Trump has done on that. They're specifically framing it in a way that that they want it to be bad. They want you to think he's bad. They're not trying to give you a full picture.
Yeah.
They want you to think a certain way. They want you
to believe the narrative that they're painting, and you shouldn't believe the narrative anybody paints of somebody else unless you look for it yourself or meet the person for yourself. And because I can't meet him personally, I can only go off of what not only just like the left wing says about him, but also the right wing. I follow and I listen to like black conservatives that have been to the website, and they're like, he's absolutely not a racist. And I'm just like, I agree, because a real racist wouldn't have like hundreds of black people in the White House. Like that's the worst racist I've ever heard in my life. And he wouldn't like allocate like millions of dollars, billions of dollars towards like inner city communities and like helping billions. He wouldn't give that much money to inner city communities and black people in general if he didn't care about them. Like that's the worst racist I've ever heard of in my life.
Pretty terrible.
Pretty terrible.
Speaking of pretty terrible, we've got some pretty terrible new laws that just got passed in California.
Yeah, in California in general.
I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but so we're in California, and sometimes I get, I've only been in California for like 3 years, but now I moved here for a reason, and it's this kind of stuff right here. Right? I want to be at the epicenter of everything that's going on.
I mean, we kind of are. This is where the laws are coming and passing through in the state is Sacramento. Like, this is the capital, so believe it or not.
When I see stuff like this, it's like, oh, great. Yeah, I can't wait to see what the effects of this are. So, in case you guys haven't heard, we've got 2 new laws that recently got passed by our governor. The first one is SB 132, and that's regarding transgender prisoners. Do you want to maybe summarize that one?
Well, they basically are just saying, like, however you identify, and whatever pronouns you choose to use, that's the prison you go to. So if you're, like, a transgender woman, meaning, like, you have boy parts, but you, like, think you're a woman, you can go to the female prison. So or vice versa. If you're a woman biologically and you have female parts, but you're like, I'm a boy, I want to go to the boy prison, you can go to the boy prison.
Do you think they'll have any like tests to like be like, hey, you gotta, make your case, you gotta prove it, or do you think they're just gonna be like,
I think they're just gonna
check the box?
I just think they're gonna
All
be
right,
like,
off to women's prison you go, sir.
yeah, sir, you have a beard and chest hair and like clearly look like you're a biological male, but because you identify as a female and we can't say otherwise, you get to go to the female prison.
What do you think the ratio is going to be of biological women going into male prisons versus biological men going into women's prisons? Like 99-1?
It's going to be 99-1. Of course, these dudes are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to go to the women's prison, of course. Like, I'm going to go to the women's side of the jail. Like,
even no woman would ever actually go to a
no
men's
woman
prison,
would ever
even
go
if
to
they
the
were
men's
actually
prison.
identifying as a male.
Yeah.
They would not go
I don't know any trans.
It's not worth it.
I know a few trans men, like they're biological women, but they like dress and they have like surgically transitioned and medically transitioned to being men.
Full deal.
But they would, if they like got arrested and had to go to prison or had to go to jail, they would not go to the men's side of the jail.
I don't know why you ever would.
They just, you're just asking for an ass kicking.
I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but go look at the statistics for violence that happens in male prisons versus violence that happens in female prisons.
Oh, it's astronomical. Like the girls do fight, but that's why I worry about
you get those butch dykes.
Well, not even that. You just get girls. Even though
dykes.
just girls in general, they're freaking savage when they fight. So that's why I worry about like the trans women going into female run prisons, because if they get into a fight with a freaking female and they're like pre-op transition, meaning that they're not taking hormones, they haven't like gotten their boobs done or gotten their thingy cut off, like they're gonna fuck some bitches up in there.
Yeah, well, it goes right back to
they're just stupid. It's so stupid. It makes no sense. Like it's setting us back.
Like I said, I'm just interested in seeing the effects. I can't wait to see what happens.
Or what they need to do, like you said, they need to separate and just have their own separate transgender prison.
Yeah, why not?
If you're a trans woman, you're on this side of the prison. If you're a trans man, you're on this side of the prison. And
there you go.
like they have like the cisgender prison.
The prison's organized by what parts you have.
Yeah, it really is.
They're gonna
pre-op, post-op, whatever.
So that's fun. Yeah, that was signed into law like a few days ago.
Yeah. Thank you, Commodore Newsom, for that. I appreciate it. Like,
our criminal patterns are gonna just erase themselves off of that. It's gonna help us so much.
It's gonna like progress us so far. Like we're gonna be so woke that like other states are gonna like not be able to compare in wokeness to the wokeability that California has. The wokeability.
Assembly Bill 979. This is a corporate diversity one. This is actually a what you could say, I guess, is part of the slippery slope. So there was recently a law that was passed by Jerry Brown to require women leaders in businesses. So we're talking about corporations that have directors need to have at least one person who identifies as Black, Latino, Native American, Asian American, Pacific Islander, or Hawaiian, or Native Alaskan. Native Alaskan. Interesting.
Yeah, there's
companies
like
can also
Alaskan
comply by appointing directors who self-identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. This law requires corporations to have at least one director from an underrepresented community by the end of 2021. Do you know how long it takes to hire somebody at that level? Like 2 years just by itself.
Right.
Additionally, corporations with more than 4 directors, but fewer than 9, would require a minimum of 2 diverse directors. So the funny thing about this, I think, is that beyond the fact that there's no real impact on how the business is run, depending on what skin color you are, the funny thing is that it says as people who identify as Black. Like, so I can just say I'm Black, and then that's what they're going to do.
They are.
Corporations are used to finding loopholes.
Or they're going to
so they're going to get Billy, the 100% Irish guy, to just self-identify as African American, and then they're going to be like,
with Sean King. Sean King like looks white as snow.
Oh, dude, Sean King,
he looks white as snow, but he's like tries to be like, I'm Black. It's like,
Talcum X.
Are you really? I mean, I'm not trying to be
Yeah,
racist
if he can
here.
self-identify as
If he
black,
can,
then why
if
can't
that guy
a
can be
corporate
like,
director
I'm black,
self-identify as black?
like full black, it's like, okay, well, like I do know a few light skinned black people out there. Like, don't get me wrong, but he look. That's crazy.
Just say it.
Yeah, like, he does not look like
He's white.
He's a whitey. Like he's pasty. Like
so there's
he's
some
just as pasty as
subjectivity
you.
in this, obviously, which is why it's stupid.
It
Because
is. It's so stupid. Like, why not just hire people because they can do a good job?
I want somebody to explain to me how this is going to improve the business.
Right? And that's how I wonder too. It's like, how
I'm
is
not
this?
saying they can't do it. I'm just saying I want to hear it.
Yeah, I want to hear it. Like how.
Why does having a gay guy on your does
your
being
board of
gay
directors
change the way that you read an accounting?
Yeah. Does being gay like make you a better like leader than like a straight person, a straight white male? Like, there's a.
Well, you
I
definitely
get
more
what they're
authority.
trying to do. Like, I'm trying to do the nuanced position of like, I get it. They want more like minorities in the business in the corporate world, but like forcing corporations and people to like basically bend to the will of like this law is not what I agree with. It's like, I want people to get hired because they're suited for their job and they can do a good job, not because like, oh, they've ticked this box and they belong to this group of people, so they need it more than like the person who has a wife and a kid and wife and kids and a family to take care of.
Dragon Energy identifies as an Apache attack helicopter. I think that's one of the minimum requirements for diversity.
Yeah.
Personally, I prefer the Cobra, but Apaches are nice. Apaches are nice. I'm not gonna lie.
Every time the Democrats try to help society, they end up destroying society and lives. The DNC is not compatible with America.
So this is the funny thing I was going to say off what you just got done saying is that what they're doing simultaneously. Tell me how this can occur simultaneously. On one hand, they call everything in America fascist, and on the other hand, they do everything in their power to give the government more power.
Right?
How does that make any sense? Because correct me if I'm wrong, I know some people like to use, random definitions or obfuscated definitions of fascism to try and cover up the fact that they don't actually know what fascism is, but they want to call it fascist because it sounds good anyway.
Yeah.
Fascism is essentially collectivized power held by, and the emphasis of collectivization, emphasis on groups, government control over businesses, government control over private sector businesses. Isn't this exactly what that is? Doesn't this fit directly under the definition of fascism, like increasing government control over private businesses?
Yeah.
Do I have the wrong definition of fascism?
That or private businesses which are run by individual people and a group of people, but individuals nonetheless. And that's what they want. They want collective control over big companies and just companies in general. And in California, we have like one of the largest economies. So it's like, if they can get like this idea of like diversity hires, which in and of itself is racist to me, it's like they win. And I'm sorry that I don't agree with that. It's like, I want people to run the businesses and run the companies that are the best trained and the best possible, despite their skin color. If the person has melanin, cool.
What you're talking about is meritocracy, and that is white supremacist.
Oh my God, such a white supremacist for a brown person, like a kind of brown person.
Josiah suggests streaming on Reddit. I'm gonna look into that. Actually, I haven't looked into that.
We might.
We're evaluating our options.
We're just running like a little dry like rehearsal, just him and I, like how we can vibe off each other. We're actually trying to figure out like names for like a potential channel for the two of us, so we can do this together, not on his channel, but
Tickus says fascism is basically anything I disagree with.
Yeah, that's what fascism
Isn't that the case?
That's what like the left defines fascism as, but like the right actually like has more true definitions of it, because we're like open-minded to the idea that like America's not as fascist as you might think. And even if it is fascist, if enough people make a big stink about it, like you can change it and like do better. But like what California's government is doing right now, like it is fascism. It's like, yeah, you have to hire colored people.
Here's proof, and it's exactly what he says.
Even if they're not qualified for it and like won't do a good job, you have to hire them.
We all know fascism is just a word that they use as a weapon,
along
with homophobia and all their phobias.
It's just like how they label the Proud Boys as white supremacists. They're like, even though they're not, like the leader's a freaking brown person, and they're like, he's a white supremacist.
Anyone
the
who
key
says
trigger
that,
words to like make people like completely turn their mind off to the idea.
Anyone who says that just gives themselves away as like an idiot, essentially, a low IQ person who's like, oh, I don't
unless they're actually talking about real fascism, then I'm like,
terms.
unless they're talking about real fascism, then I'm like, yeah, you're educated, cool, like we can actually have a conversation. But when they say America is a fascist place, I'm like,
well,
okay.
it's not,
I mean, I'll have the
Here's the
conversation.
thing. I'm willing to accept their definition, but here's the second half of that deal. You have to apply that definition across the board, baby. You have to call this government control over businesses, the increase in the government control over businesses. You have to call that fascism too. You can't just say, oh, Trump eating McDonald's every day is fascism, or whatever stupid BS you're calling fascism today. You have to apply it across the board. Otherwise, I'm inclined to think that you're acting in bad faith, and
Right.
I'm not going to take anything you say seriously. So at least apply your standard evenly across the board.
Right.
Please, God, have some kind of a little, like, just 95 IQ at least.
So Dragon Energy says fascism is an ethno-national form of government. By the left standards, modern Japan and South Korea could be fascist, even though both countries are perfectly fine. Well, yeah, Dragon Energy, the only reason they don't say that South Korea, Japan, China, a lot of these like kind of homogenous countries aren't fascist is because like, they can't because they're minorities.
They don't even know they exist.
They don't even know they exist, or
First of all, they don't know that a world exists. They only think America exists. There is nothing else out there. But see, that's the problem right there, is that everyone's got different definitions of fascism, and everyone's got the certain key points of within that definition that they focus on.
Yeah.
And
but
they only focus on the ones that fit their effort.
The people that are claiming fascism has never actually undergone any kind of fascism in their entire life.
You can tell it's BS because we haven't even heard the word fascism until 2012 or
Right.
like 2010, and then all of a sudden, wow, weird! All these college graduates are spitting out the word fascism left and right. Well, I wonder where that came from.
Yeah. And then Low Roll Toll says vote no on Prop 16 on the California ballot. I don't know what that proposition is, so I'll have to look more into it. But I mean, I'll check into it, but we'll see. I've looked at some of the props on our ballot this year, and I'm gonna vote no on quite a few of them, just because most of them are stupid. So
We'll have to take a look.
we'll have to take a look and probably talk about that as well.
We'll have to do a stream on the California stuff.
Yeah,
What's on
I
the
think
ballot,
that'll be
maybe, or we can include a little overview of what's going on.
Then we have Ed that said, he says fascists always think they're good guys. If Trump were a fascist, there'd be BLM activity. That's true. Or every BLM activist. That's true. I mean, really, like, that's what like baffles me about them. They're like, the real fascists, or the real true fascists have like, historically speaking, have been so good at convincing people to be on their side. Like Hitler, if you look, like, he got a lot of people to be on his side, even though they knew that he was doing some pretty messed up stuff.
Well, it goes back to, again, what we were talking
Whereas, like,
about
Trump, like,
off-stream.
people, like, are like, he's doing some messed up stuff without even acknowledging the good stuff that he's doing. So it's
Yeah.
like, he's the fascist, and I'm like, that's how you know that they're stupid and they're low energy and low vibrational IQ. It's like, you don't make sense. You don't make sense, bottom line.
Well, I guess it was going back to what we were talking about. Who do you think is more likely to be the fascists? The people in the streets who are crying for more government control doing this? That's pretty close to my image of what a fascist was.
Yeah, I mean, except for, like...
More government control over individuals.
Yeah. I mean, the only difference is, like, you know...
But we're not fascist at all.
Yeah, like 80, 90 years ago, it was like, you know, hand out, but of course we're not going to do that on live, because
it's a difference of this and this.
Yeah,
That's
people will like take that and just, you know,
this is totally not fascist, but that is.
Yeah, like it's just that's
how stupid it is. We
That's
can't even talk
like,
about it with a straight face.
ludicrous it is. Like forcing, and that's what's even worse is like they're going out in the public and forcing people to do this. Do this.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean,
they're like forcing. They're like, if you're not with us, we're gonna beat you up. And
if
it's
you don't
like,
do this right now, we're gonna beat you up.
we're gonna like.
Oh, that's not fascism at all.
Yeah, that's not fascism at all. Like, that's not what like the Gestapos did, and you know that when they forced like the Jews to wear like gold stars on their lapels, like
totally. Yeah.
same thing. Like, that's why it's like it's pathetic, and low IQ, low energy, all of it, from the spiritual, from the intellectual, all that stuff.
At every level.
I'm gonna grab a beer. Do you want anything?
I think we should wrap it up right there, actually.
Really? Okay.
I think what you just said is a great way to end it, because it really is it's at the core of all the problems that we have. and I have to piss really bad.
I mean, I do have to pee too, but
so I think that was pretty good. We'll wrap it up there, guys. We're gonna try to do maybe a couple of these a week.
Yeah.
As many as you can tolerate. I could go every day.
I could go every day too.
But
so.
yeah. So if you liked what you saw and you want to see some more, hit the subscribe and the like and all that other stupid stuff. We'll be back. We're gonna start chopping these up and putting clips on the channel so you can see the little segments as well. And thanks everyone for the super chats, all your chat participation. We loved it. We always want you guys to try and drive the conversation as much as possible.
Because sometimes we got 2 people to talk to now, but it's nice talking to you guys and getting your guys' perspective.
Just hanging out on a Friday night.
Yeah, hanging out on a Friday night,
talking about fun stuff,
having a couple beers, talking about fun stuff, politics.
We're thinking.
That's
fun.
Putting the information out there and just putting the energy out there. That's what I really want the goal to be. There we go. And that's I feel like we've done a pretty decent job at it.
Well said. YouTube.com/weekly narrative, guys. Thanks for joining us on this Friday night. I hope you all have an excellent weekend, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, whenever that is.